Hello everyone, this is Paula Rouphail. Today we'll be discussing the most important type of question in Edexcel, the 6-marker question. Let's see how can we deal with it. But please, first of all, you should be practicing by yourself first before seeing the mark scheme. And after writing your answer, go check the mark scheme and see how marks did you cover. So let's see now. You can see here some of the most important words you find these questions start with. You can see here command, discuss, discuss a conclusion or conclude, evaluate. Most of these type of questions, they are searching for your quality of answers. And in mark scheme, you can find the QWC, this abbreviation. It means quality of your written communication. It means they are not just gonna evaluate the right answer are you writing, but also they are trying to see how can you write it in a clear, organized, related, and logic sequence. So these are 4 important tips you have to notice while working for the 6-marker questions. First, you have to organize your ideas after checking and reading the head of the question very well and checking if there is a graph, a table, a drawing, and you have to correlate it with your own knowledge. So this takes us to the second point. Your answer should be mixed between describe and explain. Most of the cases, you have to think of what are you seeing now. So this is description. Description, you have to be detailed in what you see, comparing the graphs, comparing the bar graphs, checking if there's error bars, compare the error bars for sure. You have to talk about all graphs and link them together. And now it's time to explain why is this happening. So you have to use your own knowledge so you can talk about the reasoning why the graphs are showing these results. Third point, that you should be writing continuous sentences, a passage or paragraph with a sequence, with a logical sequence. And finally, not just bullet points, because some students used to write just the bullet points question, answer, but this is not the best scenario for these questions. So let's start together with the first question here. We'll start with the collagen. Collagen is a component of the wall of the aorta. The first question, describe the structure of collagen with 3 marks. It's very easy, direct question. You can see here we have to talk about the fibrous protein of the collagen. For sure, remember, it's had 3 polypeptides. They are not alpha helix by themselves. Take care. They form the triple helix together by the hydrogen bond between them. And you can talk about, if you remember, the repeated amino acid sequence. For example, the glycine, which is the smallest amino acid. Every third amino acid is glycine to give a more tensile strength for the collagen. As you know, collagen is very important in our body. Then, double I, explain the role of collagen in the wall of the aorta. Here, they are specific. Take care. They are specific about the function. They need the wall of the aorta. So you have to discuss about the tensile strength of the wall of the aorta. You know, the layers of the aorta. Not going to the elasticity of the wall. Take care, because it's taught about the elasticity. For the collagen, we are talking about the strength, the tensile strength that the wall of the aorta will be having due to the collagen. So it can withstand, as you see, the high pressure, and not get damaged by the high pressure. Coming to the 6 marker, you can see here, age and sex affect the types and density of collagen found in the wall of the aorta. These are thought to cause aortic stiffness. In one study, scientists investigated the effect of age and sex on aortic stiffness and the density of collagen in the wall of the aorta. The graph shows the results of this study. You can see here the first graph, aortic stiffness with the unit طبعا. You can see here young, old in the male monkeys, young, old in female monkeys. And then they were measuring density of collagen in the wall of the aorta. Again, young, old in male monkeys, young, old in female monkeys. In another study, scientists investigated the effect of age and sex on two types of collagen present in the wall of the aorta. So they were seeing two types of collagen. This graph, the graph shows relative proportion of each type of collagen in each group of monkeys. So the first graph here, it's a relative proportion of type 1 collagen. Same idea, young, old male monkeys and young and old female monkeys. This is the second graph. They were measuring the relative proportion of type 8 collagen. Young, old male monkeys, young, old female monkeys, same. Let's see this question. Comment on the effect of age and sex on the types of collagen found in the wall of the aorta and aortic stiffness. Use the information in the graphs to support your answer. So, first of all, after reading the question, I have to highlight to myself 4 items just to recall what not to forget. So first, they want to see the effect of how many factors? 2. So I can talk about the age and I can talk about sex. Second, the effect of these factors on what? Both the types of collagen, and we have 2 types, the type 8 collagen and type 1 collagen. And the aortic stiffness, as you see here, as mentioned. So first, you can think of the first graph. Let's see the first graph. For the first graph, you can see here that the older male monkeys, they have the highest stiffness, whether you're comparing with the young male. Oh, sure. So when you compare old male monkeys with the young male monkeys, now you are checking what factor? Yes, you are checking the age factor. But if you want to compare the factor of sex, so you can compare the old male monkey with the old female monkey. So you can see many points of comparison here. You can compare this one with that one. So the old male monkeys has more stiffness than the young male monkeys. While there, you can say that female old monkeys has higher stiffness than the young female monkeys, which confirmed the same idea that age affect the stiffness. Yes, it increases the stiffness. But what about the sex? Yes, you can compare. Let me remove this. You can compare in this case this one with that one. The old male monkeys has higher stiffness than all female monkeys, which prove the idea of that sex affect the aortic stiffness. Yes. Type. Another thing, you have to see it here, the error bars. Error bars here, are they overlapping? You can see the idea of the error bars. This is very important. Let's see here if you can compare between the old male monkeys and the young male monkeys. You can see the error bars are not overlapping, which means there is significant difference between them. Type, what about the old male monkey and the old female monkey? Same idea. They are not overlapping. So there is significant difference between them. But if you see the young male monkeys and the young female monkeys, you can see here that the error bars is somehow overlapping, which means it means there is no much difference between the young male and young female in the level of stiffness in the aorta. So as you see, just from one graph, we could get many ideas from just one graph. So another graph, we can check it here, the density of collagen, for example. Yeah, let's try to say it with me. When we see, same idea here, the old male monkey and young male monkey. Same idea for stiffness? No, stiffness, it was getting higher stiffness in old male monkeys. But the density here, it's more or less similar, and you can see, slight change, slight decrease. You can say this or that. Same idea there for the female. It's very obvious. And for sure, error bars are overlapping. So you can say that there is no much difference between them. So it's very clear that you can say that the aortic stiffness, it's not related to the density of the collagen. Why? You can see, because it's not giving the same result. Here the age is increasing, the stiffness, but age is not increasing the density of the collagen in the wall, but actually they might be slight decrease as you see. Perfect. Then we can go to the proportion here. So the proportion here of the collagen type 1, as you can see, by age, it's decreasing rapidly. You can see here, in old, it's much less than the young, whether in male or female. And if you can compare in male and female, you can see that female, let me remove these marks. In female, you can see here, it's much higher than the male. So the gender or sex affect type 1 collagen. Yes, you can say that females have higher relative proportion of type 1 collagen in their walls. Perfect. Now, what about the error bars? There's no error bars here. So you cannot evaluate actually the difference. Is it significant or not? It's not significant or significant. You have to say that when you see error bars as you said here. Perfect. What about the loss graph? The relative proportion of type 8 collagen. You can see here, it's opposite. You can see by age, the relative type 8 collagen increases, whether in male or female, but for sure in male has more increase. You can see that when you compare this with that. And for the idea of the female and male, as we said, you can mention that the male has more type 8 collagen in the wall in comparison with the female. And again, about the error bars, there is no error bars here, so we cannot evaluate actually the significance of differences. And you can say that type 8 collagen, it might be affecting the stiffness because it's somehow similar as you see. So all these ideas, you have to put it in a logical sequence and passage, as you see here. You have to mix between the one you are seeing and, for example, the last one we just said, the conclusion. As you see here, you have to know how to deal with the mark scheme. You can see all of these are description. But should we just describe? For sure not. You have to mix between, as you see here, explanation or conclusion. Conclusion, in order to get the 5 to 6 marker. As you know, you can see here the conclusion. In order to reach the 6 marks, they needed the 3 conclusion based on the description and the comments that you are getting from all graphs, not just 1, 2, or 3. Please use all of them. As you see here, as we mentioned, each graph has many points. You can relate the description with the conclusion, as he said. For example, there is no error bars in the last 2 graphs, graph 3 and 4, so you cannot evaluate significance. While in graph 1 and 2, you can talk about them because there was error bar in each of them. Coming to the next question. The cell membrane controls which substances can move into the cell or out of the cell. Processes by which substance can move into a cell or out of cell include diffusion, facilitated diffusion, active transport, and osmosis. Then the question is talking about the Venn diagram, can be used to show the similarities and differences between the 3 of them. Statement about similarities can be written in the numbered parts of the circle that overlap. For example, statements about similarities shared by all 3 processes would be written in part IV. You can see it here. This is common in the 3 of them. Statement about differences can be written in numbered parts of the circle that do not overlap. Perfect. So the first question here, which part would contain the statement uses proteins? Yes, uses proteins. So they were talking about carrier protein, channel protein, So the simple diffusion is not included here. So the answer is going to be which part? Part VII, because it involves active transport and facilitated diffusion. So the answer is D. Next question. Which part would contain the statement needs energy in the form of ATP? This is a very easy question. You know for sure that the active transport is the one using ATP, so it's going to be only V, part V, active transport only. So the answer is B. Next question. Which part would contain the statement solutes can only move down concentration gradient, not against or up? The question is saying down, so I have to read quite well. Because down concentration gradient, for sure you know that diffusion and facilitated diffusion, both of them is moving down the concentration gradient, while the active transport is exactly the opposite. So the answer here is going to be B, triple I, this part, because it involves both of them, diffusion and facilitated diffusion. Perfect. Coming to B section, osmosis can be defined as the movement of free water molecules through a partially permeable membrane down a water potential gradient. Explain this definition with 3 marks. For sure, we're not going to write that definition of osmosis again. You have to explain more the idea of water molecule is moving freely. We know that, but you have to mention the idea of each part. For example, you can see here, let me zoom in. Free water molecules are moving, yes, but some water molecules are restricted from this movement. How? You can see here that the partially permeable membrane allow only some types of molecule to pass through. That's why we call it a partially. So I have to explain the definition. So I have to explain what's meant by partially permeable membrane. Down water potential gradient, whose water molecule is moving from high water potential to water potential. Yes, you have to explain it again, not just saying from high water concentration to lower water concentration. No, you have to explain the idea of from diluted solution to more concentrated one, or from high osmotic potential to lower one, or from high solute potential to a lower one. All of these are accepted, but please don't just write the definition again, because you're not going to gain the marks. Coming to the 6-marker question, the crabs question. Mitten crabs spend most of their lives in fresh water and only return to the sea to breed. In an investigation, mitten crabs were kept in fresh water and then moved to seawater. The water content and amino acid content in the muscle cells, take care, muscle cells, so I have to highlight to me, we're talking about the muscle cells of these crabs, were measured for 15 days after moving them from fresh water into seawater. Perfect. The graph shows the results of this investigation. For sure, this is the independent variable on the x-axis, the time after moving mitten crabs into seawater in days. And you can see they are measuring 2 dependent variables, the water content in muscle cells and the amino acid content in muscle cells. And I have to read quite well the key written on the graph to know which line belongs to which y-axis. Perfect. Let's see the question itself. Seawater has higher concentration of salt than fresh water. Explain the changes in water content and amino acid content in the muscle cells of the crab in this investigation for sure. Perfect. So I have to focus first on the water content, and I have then to see details about the amino acid content. And as we said, I have to mix between what I see and why is that. So it's mixed between description and explanation. So first, let's see the water content. You can see it is decreasing at the beginning, somehow rapidly, and then slight decrease. So you can say that how water is decreasing inside the cell. For sure, it's getting out of the cell by osmosis, from high water potential to low water potential. Perfect. And then it starts to increase. So I split the graph of the water content into 2 parts. But why the water content is starting to increase? Here it's time to see the amino acid content. The amino acid is increasing, yes. So when the amino acid content is increasing inside the cells, the water potential inside the cell decrease. Remember, if we're talking about the cell here, the amino acid is getting higher in concentration, so it means water potential is decreasing. So the water will get into the cell by osmosis. So the water is increasing, water content is increasing as well. So you have to describe and explain at the same time and in a logical sequence. Perfect. But why the amino acid content is increasing? You have to think about this. So you can think of that the crab is eating proteins, for example. So when eating protein, it's going to digest it into amino acid by doing hydrolysis. You know hydrolysis for sure, breaking down the peptide bond between the amino acids in the proteins. So the amino acid content is increasing. Some students may think of that the muscle proteins are being digested, so the protein is converted into amino acid as well, so the amino acid might be increasing as well. So you are trying to mix, as we said, between the description and the explanation. For sure, no bullet points, as we said. Water content decreases when crab first move at the beginning, as water is moving out by osmosis, as we said. And please explain more about the osmosis, not just osmosis. And then it started to increase again. You can see that the amino acid is increasing sharply at first, then it slows down a little, but it's still increasing. You can see it here, still increasing, but it's less steep. And then you can talk about the explanation part here. Muscle protein are being broken down, it's fine, by hydrolysis, giving more amino acid, or the crab is eating more proteins. That's going to be digested into amino acid, which will get into the cells, whether by active transport or facilitated diffusion from its blood. And when the water concentration inside decreases, it means that the water is starting to get into by osmosis, so the water content will be increasing as well. So we have to mix always between the description and explanation, and keeping the water getting into the crab. For sure, it keeps the crab hydrated to prevent it from hydration. Perfect. Coming to the last question. The question is talking about the gas exchange. You have to read the head of the question quite well, because you can expect the 6 markers is talking about which topic. Gas exchange requires diffusion. The rate of diffusion is dependent on the surface area, diffusion distance, and the concentration gradient. The rate of diffusion can be calculated using this formula. And for sure, from our studying, you know that this law is called Fick's law of diffusion. Remember? Then part B. What will happen to the rate of diffusion if all 3 of the following are changed? Surface area increased or decreased? Decreased is decreased by half. Decreased by half. Concentration gradient decreased by half. Diffusion distance decreased by half. So the magnitude is the same. All of them decreased by half. Eventually, what do you expect will happen to the rate of diffusion? You can simply think of it that we can remove these 2 factors, changes. So the end result, you will keep only one factor changing, which is, for example, surface area. So the total rate of diffusion will be a halving. So the answer is C. It will halve. Perfect. Next question. C. The properties of gas exchange surfaces include large surface area, short diffusion distance, high concentration gradient. Describe how mammalian lungs are adapted to have each of these 3 properties. For sure, from O level till A2, we have to know exactly how we deal with the adaptation. Adaptation, we are talking about I'm wearing glasses. If I stopped here, it's considered the feature. But if I want to say it as adaptation, I'm wearing glasses in order to see, for example, the far object quite clear. This is called adaptation. So in order to get the mark, you have to mention how mammalian lungs are adapted. So you can say they have a large number of alveoli for sure. This is feature. You have to say it as adaptation. So you have to say to provide large surface area, for example. You can say they are surrounded with a large network of capillaries. Remember, to maintain concentration gradient and to increase the surface area as well. For sure, and they have thin wall. Remember, the thin wall is called subsidial cells. Thin wall of alveoli and the capillaries. How can we make it the adaptation? In order to allow shorter diffusion distance, so faster diffusion. So let's see together the mark scheme here, what they are expecting from you. Lots of alveoli for large surface area. Lots of capillaries for large surface area as well. Thin-walled alveoli or capillaries for short diffusion distance. And a good blood supply for high concentration gradient. Perfect. Coming to our last question in today's session. The photograph shows a hellbender salamander. You can see here, don't go for the reading. Check the drawing first. You can see here some skin folds. This is very important. These salamanders live in freshwater streams that are shallow and fast flowing. They use their lungs and the surface of their skin for gas exchange. This is very important to highlight the shallow and the fast flowing, and to highlight lungs and skin. They are able to get more oxygen as they can use lungs and skin, not just lungs. They also use body rocking and swaying movements in the water, like swinging movement. The graph shows the relationship between the frequency of body rocking movement, partial pressure of oxygen in the water, and the blood pressure of oxygen in the blood, and the percentage saturation with oxygen of the water they're living in. You can see here the graph for sure. We first read the key. We have frequency, the bold line, this one, the complete line. This is the frequency of movement, number per minute. And we have the blood partial pressure of oxygen, kPa. This is the dotted one, the incomplete line. And at the bottom x-axis, we are seeing here the percentage saturation of water with oxygen. Then let's see the question. Discuss how the structure and behavior of these salamander are adapted for the gas exchange. So I have to organize my ideas as we said at the beginning, and we have to cover both structure and behavior, and we have to use all given data. So let's see together how can we read the graph. At first, you can see here at the beginning, when the percentage saturation of water with oxygen is low, the rocking movement is increasing, so you can expect that they're trying to increase the movement of the water by stirring and mixing the water. This allows the water to gain more oxygen from the air. So it's more explained here when you see the oxygen is increasing. The oxygen in the blood is increasing. It means that the salamander could take more oxygen in. And then the movement start to decrease, but yet the oxygen inside the blood is increasing. How is that? In this case, you have to think of the idea of the skin and the lungs. So let's think it together. First, the idea of having two options to use in gas exchange, this is very important. We use only our lungs, but they can use both of them so they can do more gas exchange. Perfect. The skin, you have to talk about it. It's very clear here. The skin foldings, and it's considered a structure as we see. It's very important to increase the surface area. You know, in many chapters, we always talk about any foldings will allow the surface area to increase, so more gas exchange. Second, the structure that they are flattened body actually, or elongated flattened body, this increases the surface area as well, so more gas exchange. For sure, this skin receives large amount of blood capillaries in order to ensure the high concentration gradient as well. You know that from your own knowledge. And for sure, the skin, if you remember in O level, we took that the frog can do this as well. So the skin is permeable to the gases here. That's why the gases can go through the skin. Perfect. So we explained a lot about that structure. Don't forget to talk about the behavior as well. So what about the behavior? Behavior, you can see here that they keep moving, as we said. When they move faster, they mix the water together. So the water get more oxygen from the air. We can say that the water is being aerated well. So when the concentration of oxygen increases in water and it comes in contact with the skin, it keep good concentration gradient, so more gas exchange into the blood. Perfect. So let's see what they are expecting in the mark scheme together. Let's read it together. You can see here, for sure, no bullet points. You're gonna write a logic sequence, as we said, as a passage or paragraph, clear. The idea of having both lungs and skin, it allows faster or more gas exchange. Lungs will allow oxygen from air and skin oxygen from water for sure. So two sources. The skin is folded, remember, it's considered structure to increase surface area. The flattened elongated body increases surface area as well. So gas exchange will be faster. A skin has good blood supply, so there will be high concentration gradient. And remember, the skin is permeable to gases, as we took before in amphibians, remember, in O level. And now we're talking about the AS here. Same idea came for the salamanders. The behavior, they are living in fast-flowing water. The idea of fast-flowing water actually allowed the oxygen to be high for sure. Shallow water will also has higher level of oxygen, so there will be easier breathing with lungs. The idea of the rocking movement, steering up the water, which allow the water to get more oxygen, as you see here. Water with high oxygen content, and it comes with contact into the skin. So there will be higher concentration gradient, gas exchange will be faster, so the rocking maintain the level of oxygen as you see. Now what about the graph? We already talked about the graph. At low level of oxygen in the water, the frequency of rocking is high. Remember, when we say this part, the complete line is high, accompanied by increase in blood partial pressure of oxygen. As oxygen level in water increases, the frequency decreases, but yet the blood oxygen continue to increase, as we said, because the lungs and skin are working to maintain the level of oxygen. And you can say that rocking stopped to conserve energy. For sure, we cannot fulfill all of these data. It's just indicative content that help you how to think and broaden your mind, how to structure your answer. So please, always in 6 marker, remind yourself, I'm using the information given to me, all the data given. Second, I have to explain the reason behind these results or these data, and I have to put it in a logical sequence, graph included, drawing included, label included, error bars included, anything. It has to be into my paragraph or passage that I write during my answer. Thank you. And if you have any question, just send me a Halween.